Now, Louise, a report today in Vanity Fair that Meghan is apparently trying to mend her rift with Princess Catherine. It's an unnamed source, but do you think is there anything to this?
Well, I think there's more chance of hell freezing over than Kate wanting to patch things up with Meghan. I mean, what's in it for Kate, really? I mean, you could say maybe she wants the relationship between Harry and William to mend, but that's not going to be fixed by her becoming besties again with Meghan. I don't think she trusts her. I think also Meghan's problem is that she's allowed this narrative to flourish that Kate and Charles were somehow making racist comments about Archie before he was born. I mean, this is a narrative which she's never defended them on. She never said, no, they are not the ones I'm talking about. So why would Kate want to mend the bridges with her? And I also think it's interesting that this story's ended up in an American magazine because traditionally these stories are briefed by various royal households, and there's no way that Kate and William are going to brief an American magazine to somehow warm up the case for a reconciliation between the two sisters-in-law. I mean, I just don't buy it at all. I think it's rubbish.
I think that's a very good observation, Louise. Now, Bronte, a great piece by Camilla in the Telegraph about the Sussexes and their ultimate dependence on the royal family for their relevance. This is something that we have talked about numerous times. She doesn't miss.
No, she's not really ever been a fan of the Sussexes, but here she really does take aim, and there's a couple of points that really stood out to me. I mean, she outlines the fact that in those biographies on the website, you know, with Meghan, it talks about, you know, two of her major projects, which both happened while she was in the royal family, which really just puts into contrast, you know, the other column, which is what philanthropic endeavours have really taken off since they left the royal family. So that was an interesting one and really well put, actually, in the article. And the other one, of course, is the fact that it's been chosen to have the titles of their children in that. Now, we knew that they'd picked up Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet as the titles some months ago that came out. But to see it there again in print is, again, quite jarring because all we've really heard is how difficult, what a horror show, I suppose, it was for Harry being born with that title. So the fact that they've adopted that for their kids, as is their birthright, but really just flies against what they've said about what comes with the, you know, trappings that come with that title. So yeah, it was really well put, and also echoes what Louise said at the top of the show about you know, the criticisms about them you know, looking to be banking in on their royal status.
Louise, have you got any additional observations to make here?
I think Camilla Tominey's piece is very good because she does skewer the hypocrisy around Meghan and Harry, in particular Meghan, you know, standing for family values, when of course we know that she shunned her own family and certainly had more than a decent crack at her in-laws. So I think, and also the sort of whole narrative about being, you know, with the people and understanding everyday struggles, when of course we've seen her this week in a Hermes, $6,000 padded coat, I think, at the Invictus event. So I do think there's a disconnect. She either wants to be one of the people, she wants to be seen as a very wealthy woman. You really can't be both, I don't think.
Now, Bronte, time for a bit of nostalgia and an interesting piece about Princess Margaret's daytime routine. Can you please tell us how she rolled?
Yeah, can I also say, you know, being a royal never sounds like that much fun. This does. So there's an excerpt from a book about Princess Margaret, and it's actually resurfaced on social media because people love the itinerary of what her days looked like when she was in her 20s. So she was living at home with her mum at Clarence House, and apparently it all started with breakfast in bed. Perfect. Then it would be laying around for hours listening to the radio and reading the papers. Then she would have an hour-long bath. This was all before midday, might I mention. An hour-long bath run by her maid. Then she'd have an early afternoon cocktail and then a 4-course lunch. Now, nothing's really listed after that because I assume the 4-course lunch after the cocktail really finished it off for her. But look, if you're going to be a royal, I reckon that's the way to do it.
I feel like she made the most of that, absolutely. Now, Louise, the Queen of the British royal family was out with the Queen of British cinema this week. Can you run us through their nod to Shakespeare?
Yes, so Queen Camilla met up with her old pal Dame Judi Dench, who of course is a former Shakespearean actress as well. And it was for the event was at the Grosvenor House in Mayfair in London, very chic event. A lot of very high profile actors and thespians, they like to be called, in the UK. And the event was the 400th anniversary of the folio of Shakespeare's work, which is the first time all his works were put together in print. And it was just wonderful to see Camilla out there. She looked beautiful in the green velvet dress, and she was very happy to be amongst her people, as it were, because a lot of her charities have a very much of a literary and theatrical focused. Obviously, she's had her own book club as well. She's an avid reader, and we know Charles is an avid reader as well. There were some nice touches. She got some beautiful Valentine's Day sweaters with hearts on them, his and her sweater. Whether they'll wear them, who knows, but it was a nice touch. And there was a massive get well card presented to her as well, signed by everyone who'd been there that night. So I really feel that even though she left at 8:30, the party probably took on a bit of a... at a pace, I think, once she'd left, but it was good to see her out and about and looking a bit cheery in, really very tough times for the pair of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And she did look cheery. She did look like she was holding up well, and an absolute credit to her. Bronte, Coy, Louise Roberts, ladies, thank you so much for joining us.